Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Outlet Show, S.O.S. number 3.2, known as Take Me Out to the Ballgame. I'm here, Joe Wagner, alongside with my three gentlemen, as always. We got Brent Tigers, the GOAT, Braden, and Chris Naylor. Boys, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday?
Can't complain. Can't complain. So getting a little warm outside now again. So feeling a little summer fever.
Yeah, what was those two couple of cold days? I mean, here in Winchester, it was snowing. It was literally like a blizzard outside. There was like 2 or 3 inches on the ground. Crazy for April. Crazy.
Absolutely
That's for sure.
ridiculous.
No, we got a glimpse of all four seasons in a span of 2 days. So not a big fan. I'm ready for spring and summer to finally start flowing in.
Can only agree.
Well, speaking of things finally blossoming up and continuing to start and happen into the spring and summer, boys, as you can see in the title is Take Me Out to the Ball Game. We're going to start off talking about opening day baseball. And Chris, you want to just give me a little background on what the sport of baseball means to you as a Nationals fan?
Oh, well, I mean, it's been a rough up and down. Won a World Series a few years back, and now almost regarded as bottom tier baseball. I mean, opening day though is a nice start to the summer. I mean, it's only April, so right now the games really don't matter as much. But I mean, just getting started is really exciting me to see what the future is coming. I know this year, especially, I looked at the Nationals roster and I may have recognized 5 or 7 names. It's a new team. So it's kind of like a rebuild in a sense. So I'm happy to see what they can put on the field, especially towards getting towards June and July, and then August, and then obviously October. Baseball is what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Brent, you care to comment on anything about that new roster?
Yeah, it was you got Soto, and then there was like Victor Robles, who isn't even that great to begin with. It's just like a bunch of new faces for the Nats this year. Their bats aren't necessarily great. So we'll see how the season turns out. I think it might be a little bit worse than what we saw last year. So we'll see.
Hey, but I'm just happy they brought back Doolittle. I mean, that for me, that signing was pretty, nostalgic, especially from the World Series run. So I mean,
Nelson Cruz was also a huge signing, which
made
was
everything
great.
just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we're both in the same boat here with the Nationals and the Pirates, having some very, very different teams. Obviously, some key star signings and that sort of thing, and bringing other people back. But we're going to go ahead into the MLB 2022 rule changes, guys. There was quite a lot, actually, for baseball, which we haven't seen in a really long time, with a bunch of different rule changes. First of all, the National League is going to adopt the designated hitter, which the AL has been doing for as long as people can remember. The postseason did expand to 12 total teams, so that's going to be a little more interesting for postseason baseball. And they're not doing the second baseman to start extra innings in the playoffs. I totally love that. I absolutely hated that. Two other things, double headers are going to be a full 9 innings. The players really pushed for that. And I think something the NFL should possibly think about doing, and I want this opinion from all of you as well. The MLB, like the NHL and the NBA, has implemented a draft lottery so that there's a discouragement of tanking in the Major League of Baseball. What do you guys think about that last one in particular? And then we can talk about any of the other ones you guys want to talk about.
I mean, I can go first by saying I don't think the NFL needs to necessarily implement a draft ladder. I mean, you have the NBA, the NHL, and the MLB. They're playing a lot longer seasons than the NHL. Right now, we have 17 games. Setting up a draft lottery system on a tanking system is really hard to tank in football. I mean, yeah, you can just absolutely suck. I mean, we have the reports of Brian Flores and the Browns, wanting their team to lose, and that's, something that should be investigated otherwise. But in 17 games, it's a lot harder to be like, I want to lose. It's a lot harder to go 0-17. You're gonna get a lucky win. I mean, we've seen upset wins. So I mean, I don't necessarily think football needs to go that way. I think their system, that the way they're doing it, is great. It's not perfect, but I think it's just for that situation, for that sport, I think it's just the best.
I think that's kind of funny coming from a Washington fan. It's hard to tank.
Hey, it's not tanking when you suck.
I'm a Giants fan, and I kind of disagree. I mean, you're right where there are like a couple fluke wins out of the year for those bad teams, but at the end of the year, as a Giants fan, I find myself rooting for losses so that I can get that higher draft spot. So I don't know. I think there can be some tanking in the NFL, but I see where your point's coming from.
I mean, because honestly, when you're playing 17 games, you're going to have teams that are going 3-14. In the NHL, or let's take that baseball. You have 162 games. You're going to have a bit of a point differential spread on that, and it's going to be harder to get the same wins and losses as one of the other teams than it is playing a 17 game season. You're going to have more kind of similar, wins and loss records. So I mean, tanking, in baseball, you could be like, oh, this team is going to finish with, let's say, 62 wins, and I have 57 right now. Let me just stop. You can forecast that, but in 17 games, it's a little harder to forecast.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Chris on this one. The baseball season is a lot longer, and it's a lot easier to tank for them. But in the NFL, I think like if they can prove these claims that Hugh Jackson and Brian Flores were asked to lose, they should punish those teams individually instead of punishing teams for being bad. Just in general.
I mean, we saw, like I said, you saw the Bengals. They had a low draft pick, got lucky. He got hurt in the first year. They weren't good, but obviously you saw when they implemented a star quarterback, they excelled. So I mean, it's really hard to be like, oh, they sucked. Let me just, why did they suck? Oh, let me just give them the sixth pick, or they get the first pick again. So it's like I said, you have 17 games, so. I like the way the NFL is doing it. Keep a little difference than all these other leagues, so you don't become a similar kind of format and a similar idea.
Yeah, I honestly think Braden said it best with the fact punish those individual teams that did end up tanking in the NFL, and not do the draft lottery system for the rest of that sort of thing. And the span of 162 games to 17 games, even though the season's about the same amount of months, because Sundays and every day when baseball plays. But Braden, I think you said that perfectly, if I'm being honest.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about those rule changes at all?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it earlier about the NL adopting the DH. I mean, I used to love watching pitchers come up to the plate and absolutely like raking, especially those guys that aren't like Shohei Ohtani who can rake. Like the guys that you don't suspect to, like the Steven Strasburgs of the world.
Or the Bartolomé Colon when he hit that dinger in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, there was a game a few years back for Strasburg where he had 3 hits and 5 RBIs, and it was just the coolest thing because he doesn't get a lot of opportunities, and you don't expect a guy like that to lead the team in hitting. So I'll miss that aspect of the game, but I mean, I can see why, especially since the AL already didn't have pitchers hitting. So I don't know.
I mean, and to touch on what Brent kind of said, I mean, with this rule, I mean, it brings in a little bit more player safety. Pitchers are prone to injuries a lot more than other positions. I mean, especially, Tommy John surgery, they're throwing 100 and some pitches. They're out there all the time. They're going to be pitching every inning. Unlike, let's say, a field player, he could maybe touch the ball once every 3 innings. So, I mean, I personally like the idea of making sure these pitchers are safe and, that they're able to do what they need to do without having to worry about maybe running the bases and, tearing an ACL or getting hit by a pitch in their hand and then they're out for 6 months, So it's all about player safety. And I mean, this rule is just only, helping players to reduce injuries. And I mean, you get that extra spot back, you may see a little bit more action in the game because now instead of you have a pitcher who's most likely going to just strike out, you could have a little bit more, fun with it. And you don't have to go necessarily with a pitcher in the 9 spot. Now you can change up the order a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with the player safety thing, and I do agree with Brent. I'm going to miss the pitchers going up and absolutely going yard when they're supposed to be a automatic out for that sort of say. Braden, do you have anything about the rules, or do you want to head to our next segment?
No, I think everything that's needed to be said has been said. Again, I love the player safety, and it is going to be it's a loss, but I think it's a necessary loss for pitchers to be not out every play.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of opening day baseball, guys, before we head into another part of a different segment, I wanted to talk about what's your favorite memory at a ballpark. So I got all your answers beforehand, have them up on the screen. I'll go ahead and go first. My favorite was definitely Father's Day of probably 2013. And a long time ago, I haven't been to PNC Park in a long time. I need to go back. But I'll be in Atlanta this summer, so I'll be seeing the Pirates play at the Braves Stadium. But my favorite memory at PNC Park is the Pirates pierogies. If you guys do not know what the Pirates pierogies are, go look it up online. It's hilarious. They run through the warning track in the outfield, and they run around the stadium, and they're all pierogies because that's what Pittsburgh is in Pennsylvania is known for, is one of their favorite foods. And it's like the mascot running, except they're all in pierogies, and it's at the bottom or end of the fifth inning. And as a kid, I just absolutely loved it. And I know people that are under the influence of alcohol also love it because they love to throw out bets in the middle of a game. But that's my personal favorite. Brent, we're going to go ahead and head to yours.
All right. So y'all know I'm a Nats fan. But back in the day, my grandpa actually had season tickets to the Orioles games at Camden Yards. And let me tell you what, their Chesapeake Bay crab waffle fries are absolutely spectacular. I mean, they have cheese on them. They have the Old Bay seasoning. They have the crab, which Baltimore is famous for, by the way. So all of that concocted together, it's just so, so good. That's by far my favorite.
Nice. I haven't tried that before. Braden, you want to go ahead and go with yours?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep it nice and simple here. You can never go wrong with a nice ballpark, Frank. You can't go to a baseball stadium without eating a hot dog at least once in your life. And there's nothing quite like being a game in person. I know we all missed that during COVID and whatever, but yeah, there's nothing better than just that game day atmosphere in the stadium.
Braden loves his hot dogs. He always gets one every time we go to a stadium. Every time. Chris, you want to go ahead and wrap us up with your favorite ballpark memory?
So, I mean, mine is just I've been blessed in my life to go to too many games. So, I mean, it's all really about the nostalgia. I mean, originally I've been blessed. I was at Jordan Zimmerman's no-hitter, the first one in Nationals history. So that was probably kind of I think that was my second game in total. And I mean, that sold me on the sport. Seeing that and seeing history being made is something that, you can't take back. And so now every time I go, if you have seen Nats Park, there's the red seats in the outfield, section 100 and section 101. And I mean, every time I go back, that's kind of the section that I love to sit in. I mean, right away on center field, heckle the outfielders for the other team. You get lucky, you get a ball every once in a while. So, I mean, it's more about, going there and just thinking about all the things that I've witnessed. And, especially going with family, I mean, nothing can be beat. So it feels like home almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Those were all really great answers. I'm surprised nobody talked about the seventh inning stretch. That's a really big one. Or the what's it called? The first pitcher throw. What's the name of that? Guest of honor. Yeah, first pitch guest of honor. Excuse me. That's another big one people love. Or the T-shirt cannon that everybody seems to love as well. There's a ton that people love. And I'd love to hear from Twitter later, everybody else's, if they want to go ahead and shout that out. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up this MLB segment with talking about who's going to be getting a pennant for the MLB World Series this year. And mine is pretty simple. I don't usually like to be the guy that picks the favorite, but I'm going to. And I'm picking the LA Dodgers at plus 450. This squad of, let me talk about their first six batters. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, and Will Smith. You have six guys up on the line that can all go yard. Great at hitting doubles, great baseball IQ, and not to mention they have two of the best pitchers in the league in Urias and Clayton Kershaw, which, by the way, Clayton Kershaw got screwed and should have pitched the rest of that game, if I'm speaking personally, because I think I know someone else has more to add on this. I'm going to go ahead and ask Chris for his favorite to win the pennant.
So, I mean, it breaks my heart, to say this. I, as a Nationals fan, you play them in the playoffs, you lose every time I've known. But I mean, the Dodgers, I've said from the beginning of the offseason, once they acquired Trey Turner last season and Max Scherzer, and now once they acquired Freddie Freeman, they are literally the perfect team. I mean, when on paper, this could be a team, it'll never happen, but could be a team that goes 162-0. I mean, they are the perfect team, and I've said it. It is either if they don't win the World Series this year, I would 100% blame management and the owners that they cannot take this almost super team like and win them a World Series. There is no holes on this team. Pitching is phenomenal. Clayton Kershaw, infield, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman. I mean, perfect team. It is a win or go home year. I mean, if they don't win a World Series, I could see a max exodus of players just because they're supposed to be so good, and if they're not, then it's just what are you doing wrong? Because everyone is good.
I completely agree. Braden, you have the next likely odds of the team to win the pennant. Tell me about your pick.
I have the Atlanta Braves going back to back, and I know it hasn't happened since the Yankees three-peat in '98 through 2000. I think just this is the year that they're able to do it and go back to back. They obviously do have to get through those Dodgers and all the other great teams in baseball, but I think they have the talent to do it, led by Ronald Acuna Jr. I just think they have the talent to go back to back.
Well, I'll be getting a few in-person games this summer, Braden, especially when you come down, so we can come and go scout them out and see if they're actually going to win the pennant.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to it.
Brent, you have the least likely team to cut down the nets. It's so much about basketball, especially this back here. Justin Mutt's poster, had to shout that out at least once. Brent, tell me about your team that's going to win the pennant.
Yeah, so my team this year to win the World Series is the New York Mets. Obviously, they had a huge offseason. They got Max Scherzer, my favorite national. But they also signed Starling Marte, Mark Canha, and Eduardo Escobar to complement their hitting unit. Not to mention, they already had Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, some of the best hitters in baseball already. And once DeGrom gets back, the Mets are going to have the best 1-2 punch in starting pitchers, Max Scherzer and Jacob DeGrom. It's going to be ridiculous.
No, there's literally no doubt about that. I 1000% agree. And if you don't agree with that statement, you're just being stubborn. 100% agree. That pretty much wraps up our opening day segment. Is there anything you boys want to say about baseball? Brent, I see what you're drinking. It was your 21st birthday recently. I'm just wondering.
No, it's Pepsi.
Darn it. I was just wondering, Brent getting up here classy since he's the only one that can legally do it, but happy belated birthday again. But that's pretty cool. Can't wait to join that 21 club with you come November after Chris in October and then the baby Braden in January. Nashville, baby.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and transition to the Masters. And before I say anything about the Masters, if I don't at least let this happen at least once, Braden, what is the best part of the Masters?
Oh, the music. Absolutely. And the break in the action, there's no commercials, which is amazing, but you get a nice break in the action sometimes with the Masters music, and it's just so calm and peaceful. And if you're taking a nap while watching some golf, it's absolutely perfect. It's amazing.
There is literally nothing better, and my father told me this like 10 years ago, and I didn't understand it till this year. There's nothing better than Sunday Tiger in red, taking a nap, waking up, and watching him just put it in. There's nothing better.
Yeah, I had a few naps during the Masters this year. It was spectacular. Best sleep you can get.
Braden can also confirm I had a few naps during the Masters this year. Had a few. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Masters. On the ticker below, I just went ahead and put the total amount of eagles, birdies, pars, bogeys, and double bogeys throughout all 4 rounds of the Masters. But, Brent, I'm going to let you go ahead and start with talking about the 2022 Masters winner in Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah, so Scottie Scheffler won the Masters this year. He's been great all year. He's the number 1 golfer right now in the PGA. He finished -10. Obviously, got the Tiger hat on. I was hoping for a better performance from Tiger, but it was just so good to see him back. He's just great for the game of golf. Like, you have those people out there that root against LeBron, that root against Tom Brady. I don't know anyone that roots against Tiger. And obviously he's a little banged up still. He was limping out there on the course. So hopefully when he gets back around July, the British Open starts and maybe even the PGA Championship in May. So hopefully he can get back to that pre-accident form for sure.
Yeah, Brent, you want to go ahead, since this is part of the script we have as well. You want to go ahead and talk about Tiger Woods really fast and what that sort of experience of the Masters meant for him and his family and his fan base?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Tiger, he's had his run of the mill with the whole like cheating scandal and stuff like that. But just watching him win the Masters a couple years back, it just brought back so many great memories from when he used to just dominate when he was much younger. He's one of the best golfers of all time. I don't know how you can root against the man. It was just great. It was great to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brent, would you say Tiger Woods is your favorite golfer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm going to disagree with you because Bubba Watson's my personal favorite. Obviously didn't do as well this year in the Masters. We'll go ahead and go around. Chris, who's your favorite?
Well, right now I'm a big Brooks fan. I mean, just what he's doing on, the greens, something that, I'm very cool about and I like it. But I mean, Tiger Woods has just kind of been that golfer for, my whole life, basically. That's always been there. So you can't not hate him. So he has my love. And I mean, I love what Scotty Scheffner is doing right now on the field. I mean, becoming the number one golfer in the world in the past 4 months, went from winning no tournaments to winning now, I think it's 4 or 5 now, almost back to back. So it's something that not a lot of people can do, and he's on for a good path. But I think Brooks is up there for me as being a golfer that I can resonate with a lot.
Braden, I'm going to go ahead and let you close this segment. Question number 1, favorite golfer. Question number 2, because I want to see you light up and you talked to me for about 30 minutes about it. Tell me about day 4, Rory McIlroy.
Well, Joe, I think you already know Rory McIlroy is my favorite golfer at the moment. And yeah, that Sunday was absolutely electric for McIlroy. I was really, really hoping he was going to catch up to Scotty, but it was just too late. But yeah, Rory could not miss on Sunday, and it was amazing to see. I absolutely loved it.
A round of under 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hole 18 out of the trap was just spectacular.
Yeah, that was.
And then what made it even more spectacular is Colin Morikawa hit like the exact same shot like 5 minutes later. It was awesome. It was best part of the tournament for me.
Yeah,
I completely agree. Till the very end. Go ahead, Braden.
Yeah, I was gonna say Colin also played very well that Sunday. They both just fed off each other, and they were hyping each other up. It was like they weren't even competing. They were hyping each other up, encouraging each other, which you love to see. It's like golf is like the only sport where you can do that and actively hype up your competitor.
Yeah, they were just out there having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great to see. I love it.
It was phenomenal for the sport, and I can't wait for it again because Augusta is gorgeous. Brent, maybe we'll get out on the links one day and play at Augusta.
Yeah, I think they'll have us. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Hey, it's invite only, but I mean, invite us.
We just talked about their golfers for 10 minutes. Like, what else do they want from us?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a spot.
Yeah, I'll be in Georgia this summer. I'll make a trip down there and make a full case for us. I'm pretty sure I can get my best friend Bryson DeChambeau to help us out, and he was with Dude Perfect, so I think we can get him on there and help us out. I think we got it there.
That was stupid.
All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap up our Masters program. Before we transition into a boatload of NBA playoff stuff, because we have a lot to talk about, and I'm actually super excited to talk about basketball that's not college. That's the only time you'll hear me say that, I promise. And Chris, it's time for the pinnacle of the Sports Outlet Show. You want to go ahead and there's your little banner there. Let me hear what you got for us today.
Oh my God! Well, this one did some deep diving into, because I like to look for things that are a little bit unethical in practice. Nothing that is not, but weird fact, very weird, and I found it actually very disturbing. But during the NFL tailgating parties, more than 100 children are conceived. So
What?
I don't know. I hope that's not accurate, but I found it, and I don't want to even research it anymore. So I'm just going to take
Wait.
that as face value that more than 100 children are conceived
It's
annually at the
conceived,
Super Bowl.
right? Not delivered.
Conceived annually at the Super Bowl parking lot during tailgate parties.
Okay, so that's just
That's ridiculous.
It's just goodness.
I don't think I need to hear that again.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
that's why I looked at it. I took it at face value, and I was like, "Alrighty, I'm done looking at the internet for the rest of the day. I am good to go."
Not surprised, but
So-
definitely horrified.
So just stay away from the RVs and the campers and the vans if you ever go to the Super Bowl. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll stay home and watch the commercials. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay home for a little bit too.
Yeah, on my college budget, I'll just go ahead and go to the Super Bowl. That sounds like a plan. Thanks,
It
Chris,
is.
for seemingly always blowing my mind.
Hey,
This
You're welcome.
time in a different part of fashion, but I mean, I guess we've hit all elements of this aspect of the podcast. So
I've realized now there's no boundaries I cannot hit. So
Oh. That's wonderful. I'm scared to see what comes next, but thank you again, Chris. We're going to transition to basketball, and the NBA playoffs has obviously been underway for the past few days. As of, I think it was Sunday was the first game of the NBA playoffs. But first and foremost, the NBA adopted the play-in games during the COVID 2020 year. They've continued to develop and implement that sort of structure into the NBA today. Gentlemen, up here is your playing game survivors with their seeding. We got the Nets, the Timberwolves, the Hawks, and the Pelicans. The Pelicans being one of the only teams that were not in the top 8 originally that deserved and played into their own spot and beat the LA Clippers. But guys, what do you think about this play-in game survivors, this play-in game? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Like, what do you think?
For the NBA, I love it. Yeah, like you said, the Pelicans, I think they absolutely deserve a spot, and they showed that they did by beating the current, or at that time, the Clippers, who were in the playoffs. And I think it's cool to see them making a run and actually getting into the playoffs.
I think you're the only one that has a comment.
All right.
I mean, said it perfectly.
Thank you.
it's
Fair
more
enough.
basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
few extra
More
games, I
basketball.
won't complain.
Yeah, I absolutely love that answer, honestly. We'll go ahead and go into our Eastern Conference segment then. I expected more of a debate from you guys, but I'm glad that Brent and Chris could agree on something. That's good. That's good for this podcast. It's great. Yeah. Clap.
Yeah, for now.
Small little golf claps.
Hey, don't think I forgot about Dak Prescott, Brent. Don't think I forgot about Dak Prescott. I did not forget.
I'm very scared for when we do our NFL segment. Not today, because that one's not much of a thing to argue about, but basketball, guys. So we have the Miami Heat going up against the Atlanta Hawks. Miami's been dominant in this series. They're leading 2-0 right now. The statistic that I put up here on my sheet, guys, is Jimmy Butler is outscoring Trae Young 66-33. Chris, that's double the points, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Including 45 points last night from Jimmy Butler. And that's been the story of this series, is that Jimmy Butler is outscoring Trae Young because the Miami Heat have other weapons when the Atlanta Hawks do not.
Yeah, I mean, this series has just kind of been very dominant by the Heat. The Heat, I could see going 4-0 in the series. The Hawks, they did a great job playing into this tournament, but I don't see them advancing very far into this tournament.
I have the Heat in 5. I don't really think they're great. Like, I don't think they're good enough to be the 1 seed. I'm not really sure how they got it. They don't have as many big names as some of the other teams out there, but they're definitely good enough to beat the Hawks for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also have the Heat in 5.
Yeah, I have the Heat in 5 as well because Trae Young seems to always win Game 3 or Game 4, especially when he's at home because he lives in that crowd. But he needs to stop playing as poorly as he has, especially in the first half. He has been a big issue for the Atlanta Hawks, and they need him right now. and he seems to be running out of gas and can't hold it up. Speaking, they're playing Game 3 on Friday in Atlanta at 7:00 Eastern Time on ESPN, and the Heat are actually 1.5-point favorites in that game. So you tell the tale on that one. We next series up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers and the number 5 Toronto Raptors. Philly's leading 2-0. Braden and I watched game 2 together. Braden, you want to go ahead and talk about what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. First of all, I have Sixers in 4. They just don't have an answer for Joel Embiid. He's getting fouled out the wazoo, which is a whole different discussion about whether or not he should be getting as many free throws as he is. But the team's just the Raptors. I mean, they're just not equipped to take on the Sixers team. One of their star players, Fred VanVleet, game 2 played like absolute garbage, an absolute brick from 3, and he still put up double-digit points. So, yeah, I think the Sixers run away with this series.
Yeah. Chris, Brent?
I mean, I can all but agree. I mean, you can make a case for Joel Embiid to be the MVP this year. Just been dominant on the floor. It's hard guarding him as it is, and just as good as he's been playing right now, I can see Philly winning the series 4-0. I mean, so far they've looked just very dominant. So,
Oh, sorry. I don't know why it keeps doing this on my thing, but anytime Braden says Fred VanVleet, it shows up bricks.
that's all
Like
he shoots.
A ton of bricks. I mean, he has missed 12 3-pointers in the last 2 games, and yet he's still putting up double digits. And he has one of the ugliest jump shots I've ever seen. But he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he has been playing like absolute trash. I have the 76ers in 4, and I have the 76ers going to the NBA Finals, and I'm going to stop talking about that because this combination of this team between Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and James Harden is so gross. Gross.
Yeah.
Steph Curry would never.
Wait,
Yeah.
Braden, can you tell me who the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers is?
Point guard for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I believe that would be Russell Westbrook.
Does this still work?
No, I think it's fine. I don't think
You
you
think
have
it's
to
fine?
I
Okay.
think he doesn't even deserve bricks.
What does he deserve then?
A one-way ticket to retirement.
Shoot.
He doesn't like being called Westbrick. He said him and his family feel threatened when they're called that.
Oh,
That's
I'm
an actual
glad.
quote.
Shoot
He
the
has
ball
been
better.
awful at basketball.
I
Shoot the
know.
ball better.
I know. That's what I said. If he doesn't want to be called that, then actually score
Maybe he
some
should make a
baskets.
basket. Not
Game-
getting eliminated.
Game 3 is going to be played tonight in Toronto at 8:00 on NBA TV, which is stupid for NBA TV because I can't watch it. It's annoying. I don't want to pay that sort of money. But NBA TV, in my opinion, Toronto is one of the hardest places to play in the NBA. So if the Raptors do come out with 1 win in Game 3 or Game 4, I wouldn't be shocked.
Is that just because Drake sits courtside?
Yeah, if I was playing in front of Drake too, I'd be concerned for my life.
Because you just listen to Future for a little bit, you're like, oh yeah.
That's great. But no, the atmosphere in Toronto is phenomenal, especially after the 2019-2020 NBA Finals W they got.
Canada.
Yeah, in Canada. It is in
Ooh,
Canada.
Canada.
Good job, Chris. Good job.
Geography 101, baby.
We're going to the next series, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Chicago Bulls. I'm just going to speak from the heart. I don't understand how the Chicago Bulls got the 6th seed, let alone in the playoffs this year. They have a very young roster. They have a lot of talent around them. This is a series sweep for Giannis Antetokounmpo and his squad. I have nothing else really to say. I said on my sheet this one is simple, Giannis.
Yeah, I have the Bucks in 6 in this series. Like you said, Giannis, he's just so good. The Bucks are a great defensive team. I mean, DeMar DeRozan flirted in the MVP race there for a while, but he's not going to be able to lead them past the Bucks. Giannis is just too great, and they're a good all-around team. So,
Hey, the Greek freak.
the Greek freak.
Yeah, completely agreed. I have them in 5. Not much else to say.
Yeah, the game 2's tonight in Milwaukee at 9:30 on TNT. TNT streaming is horrible, by the way. Braden and I figured that out the very hard way when we were looking at some underdog bets that we were trying to watch. And the Bucks are 10-point favorites tonight. So double-digit, 3-seed differential. Giannis Antetokounmpo, that's all I have to say. Next series, my personal favorite, a 2 versus 7 of a lifetime, the Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets. Who wants the absolute pleasure of talking about this series?
I'll take it. So I mean, this series, you already highlighted a little bit on it. But I mean, Tatum's game winner on Sunday in game 1 was just absolutely electric. I hope the Celtics win the series, just because I'm not a personal fan of the Nets. I don't like the construction of super teams, which is obviously something they tried to do. But it's obviously not going to be easy with KD and Kyrie, but I'll still take the Celtics in 7.
Totally
Sorry to cut you off, Braden, but I'm going to go ahead and piggyback on you, Brent. I also have the Celtics in 7. It's going to be an electric series. I also hate the idea of a super team, and I personally just don't think KD and Kyrie have enough. I do believe the Nets are going to win tonight. I do believe they're going to bounce back. I'll talk about that a little later on in the podcast. I do believe they're going to come back with an absolute fire after Jason Tatum just took game 1 straight out of their hands. But this Celtics team all around is perfect. Like, they play great basketball. They have such a good defense, including the defensive player of the year in Marcus Smart. And I just have nothing else to say. Celtics in 7. Chris, anything else?
I mean, this series we've already seen it be a highly hot series with the whole KD situation, Kyrie situation. It's going to be a high contested series, and they're going to play out to the end. I think it's going to be a thick and through battle, but I think the Celtics obviously will venture through it, and they will move on.
Yeah, I completely agree. Got the Celtics in 7. I also just want to say that Ben Simmons is set to return in game 3 or 4. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he plays after a long, long hiatus from basketball. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
I wish him the best.
I'm hoping he's in at the end of the game, and I think the Celtics should just pull a Washington Wizards and foul him.
Hey, man.
Wow.
Put him on the free throw line.
He's had a long time to work on his shooting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see what he has.
We definitely will see, and there's no excuse at this point. James Harden for Ben Simmons, everybody. But that's the end of the Eastern Conference. We're going to go ahead and transition into the Western Conference. And Braden, to quote you for this first series a few days ago, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to get whipped.
Yeah. Obviously, they tied up the series 1-1, but I still think it's the Suns series to win. I think they win it in 5. The Suns team is just too good, and the Pelicans just barely snuck into the playoffs. So,
to piggyback on that a little bit, I do have the Suns in 6 on here, in 6 games. I do believe this series is going to be tied 2-2 coming out of New Orleans, and here's why. First of all, Brandon Ingram is back to 100% prime form. He's playing phenomenal basketball. And then the addition of CJ McCollum is an absolute electrifying force for this Pelicans offense. And here's the statistic that's throwing me in a whirlwind of a pool. So Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum have combined for 103 points in 2 games. Do you guys know how many points the Pelicans have scored in 2 games? 224. They have combined for 46% of those points between 2 people on that roster. That dynamic duo is electric. You get them a 3rd player next year, this team's gross, and then you add Zion Williamson back in. Exactly what Brent was about to say. Thank you. But it's not enough to combat Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. Like Braden said, this Suns roster is too good. They will win the series, but I think they came in underrating this Pelicans team like Braden was.
I agree with you guys. I have the Suns in 5. I think as long as CP3 doesn't get injured this postseason, they're my personal favorite to win it all. I know that the Pelicans had a decent comeback last night. It was pretty fun to watch, but the Suns will be just fine this series.
Chris, anything else?
Can all but agree. Suns in 5. I mean, 5 years ago, I would never even imagine the Suns in the playoffs, let alone winning games. So what they've built in the past 5 years is just a dominant franchise. So Suns in 5.
Yeah, I'd agree. You can say the same thing about the Pelicans. They were pretty bad too. Chris, you want to go ahead and start us off with the 4 and 5 matchup, the very intriguing one between the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz.
The Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban versus the Utah Jazz. I mean, what a kind of playing series, per se. I mean, both teams are average, I would say. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think this is going to be a kind of a battle of normality through and through. It's going to go all the way to 7 games. I mean, best team wins. I like the Jazz in this. I mean, I'm always going to be the underdog guy, and I think the Jazz will win it out in 7.
Yeah, so personally on here on my sheet, I put no Luka, no problem for the Dallas Mavericks, because if you saw what Jalen Brunson did with 41 points the other night, and Maxi, I think his name's Kleber. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I could be incorrect. I'm sorry. Hitting 8 triples off the bench the other night. We do fully expect Luka Doncic to come back sometime in the series, and if he does, the Utah Jazz are done.
Yeah, the only problem with that is I think when he comes back, he's not going to be at 100%. Luka being banged up in this series just sucks. Dallas would have won easily if he was there. But I actually tend to agree with Chris. I think Luka not being 100% is going to come back to bite, and I have the Jazz winning in 6.
Yeah, I think Luka's an issue for the Mavericks. Like Brent said, I think he's not going to come back 100%, and I think that's going to hinder the success around the rest of the team, because they're going to try to force feed him the ball when he's not 100%, and it's just not going to work out. So I also have the Jazz in 7.
No faith. I'm going alone with the Mavericks in 7.
That's fine. You can be the lone wolf.
I will be the lone wolf.
Get out the wolf hat.
I don't have a wolf hat. I'll invest in a wolf hat. Thank you, Brent. I'll invest in that. Game 3 is tomorrow night in Utah at 9 o'clock on NBA TV, where the Jazz are opening up as 6-point favorites, as they'll be taking their home tender for the next 2 games. But let's go into one of the most surprising scenarios. Surprising if you have been looking at records and not the roster of this Golden State Warriors team.
Chris, no worries, baby.
Shut up. Braden, go ahead and take this segment.
I'm going to start off by saying Jordan Poole is a star. He's looked really good. He's going to be great in the next coming years. I'm surprised that it's been all Golden State so far. I think the Warriors have been able to get into Nikola Jokic's head. He got ejected the other night. And I think that's been a huge part of their success. I think Nikola is going to come back tonight, and he's going to be on fire, and he's going to come back with a vengeance. But I think the Warriors are still going to take the series in 6.
See, here's my problem with the Golden State Warriors. When you have a starting 5 that does not include an all-star, and said all-star named Steph Curry comes off the bench, fresh legs off the bench when the starters are tired, and puts up 34 points on you from the bench, you're going to lose the series. Warriors in 4.
I told you, hey, the Warriors are back with Klay Thompson. They're back to the original form. I can see them going far in these playoffs.
Yeah, you know, LeBron wouldn't want to come off the bench like Steph has been doing. But I was honestly hoping Jokic and the Nuggets would put up more of a fight, especially with Steph being a little banged up. Obviously, he's coming off the bench, but it doesn't matter. He's still playing awesome, lights out basketball. It's just way too easy for the Warriors, and I think they're also going to win in 4.
Yeah, it's a surprise. This should have been a series that went 7 games. But the way the first 2 games have gone, and again, I will re-implement. If you have an all-star that comes off the bench and scores 34, and you have 3 All-Stars that are already starting, 4 if you count Andrew Wiggins. Like, that team's disgusting. You have Draymond Green, one of the best defensive players in basketball. You have Klay Thompson, who, if he's electric, you're screwed. You have Jordan Poole, who's the best and up-and-coming player since Luka Doncic himself. This team's electric. This team's phenomenal. They're playing the winner of the Grizzlies and Timberwolves, and they're going to wipe that series too.
Probably
Exactly.
so.
And you got a guy, if you're down by 2 with 30 seconds left, you need a guy to get off the bench. You got Andre Iguodala out there.
He's injured right now.
Oh, he's coming off the bench. If we're down by 2, there's one person I need to shoot. I'm going with Iguodala.
Yeah, give me Iguodala.
All right, Stephen A. Smith. Andre Iguodala. Speaking of a team that Golden State's going to wipe after this, we have the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I've been calling the Ja Morant versus Patrick Beverley show. Tied 1-1, as you see. The Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant's a phenomenal player. I have the Grizzlies in 6, but between Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards, this is one of the best young gun performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like a complete reverse script from the first game. The Timberwolves blew out the Grizzlies in the first game, and then the Grizzlies blew out the Timberwolves last night. I'm kind of shocked the Timberwolves won the way they did, but looking at their roster, they actually have like a decent amount of talent. Anthony Edwards, KAT, D'Angelo Russell, and Pat Bev. It's an underrated group, but they might be able to pull it off. I still think Ja Morant gets it done. I have the Grizzlies in 7.
I'm actually going to take the reverse of that. I love the roster. The guys that you brought up, Anthony Edwards, Kat, and Pat Bev, I think they're going to get it done in 6. I love Ja Morant, but I think this Grizzly squad is not ready. They're not ready.
I want to put a Benny's date on this.
I mean, I can all but agree with Braden. Solid points, just not ready to go. Timberwolves in 6.
All right, Brent, we'll ride together, buddy. I'm honestly a little surprised, but I completely respect the takes for the number 7 Minnesota Timberwolves. They are a great young roster as well. And another series that is kind of weird for a 2-7. This feels like a play-in game, kind of. But
I feel like the 2-7 games are the best ones, and
they're
the most competitive. It's weird.
It's so weird too. It feels like it shouldn't be that way, but it is. Like, we're talking about the 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference, and that's going to be a potential sweep. And then you have the 2-7 in that conference, where it's going to be 7 games most likely.
It's like the 12-5 game in NCAA.
Yeah. Good analogy.
That's a great analogy. I absolutely love that. We're going to quickly transition before we talk about the NFL draft to Brent and I's segment for best bets. Braden, you still have to figure yours out coming next podcast. That's your homework. The head shake from Chris. It's like a disappointed father.
Yeah, I am.
My bad.
It should be bad.
My 2 best bets for tonight, feel free to parlay them if you would like to with Brent's. I do have the 76ers minus 1.5 against the Toronto Raptors at minus 114. That's just easy money. They're going to hit that by the second quarter, excuse me. And then, like I said, the Nets are going to bounce back tonight with the plus 3.5 and take that series to 1-1. Those are my 2 favorites for tonight. Tail them if you want, but I'm not a sports bookie. I'm not booking with Trent. I might do better than him though. I don't know. Brent, you want to go ahead and tell the fans yours?
Yeah, I have 2 prop bets in. Like you guys said earlier, I did turn 21, but I'm still so into the prop bets. It's just like, it's my thing. I love fantasy. I love just like betting on players. So I have as my first one, Jason Tatum over 4.5 assists. Tatum was absolutely electric in the first game. We already touched on it a little bit earlier, but he hasn't gotten below 5 assists except one time in his last 7 games. And obviously in the playoffs now, you get more minutes if you're a starter. He's a facilitator as well as a shooter. So the kid is a stud. That's an easy bet for me. The other one I have is OG Anunoby for the Toronto Raptors, over 18.5 points. I bet on him in the last game. His line was 17.5 the last game, but in the 2 playoff games, he put up 20 and 26. So I'm thinking, again, with the more minutes, if the Raptors are going to come back in this series, it's going to be through Van Vliet, OG, and Siakam. So I like that bet as well.
Yeah, and to add on to that bet, Brent, that I love, both those games that Toronto played in were blowouts, and they didn't see as many minutes as they would tonight.
Right. And I think being at home, it might be a little bit closer, but we'll see.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm actually excited to again, I'm excited about NBA basketball. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm excited to see these first round series, and I'll definitely be watching the Raptors 76ers tonight. Let's transition to everybody's favorite part of the day, the NFL segment. And in 8 days, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hearing Roger Goodell getting booed 32 different times by 32 different fan bases, unless your team doesn't have a pick in the draft. I think there's like 5 of you. But the 2022 NFL draft will be held April 28th through 30th, 7 rounds and 262 picks. Let's go ahead and dive in, guys. 2022 NFL draft. Who's going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars? I'm going with Trevor Lawrence.
You would be correct.
Wait. Which year is this?
Are we going back to what specific year are we doing this draft? Because I think you're a little off.
The Jags
2022 on it.
The Jags are just gonna have the number 1 overall pick for like the next 10 years. It's fine.
Which they deserve. That is a burn to the ground franchise.
See, what's going to happen is they're going to trade with the Detroit Lions, right? Who's going to be worse in the league next year, right? They're going to trade. They're going to flip-flop first-round picks for, like, some different players. The Jags are going to win the Super Bowl, get the 32nd pick where the Lions are going to be, and then they're going to get the first pick again.
It's all but trade circle.
But in all seriousness, Aiden Hutchinson, does anybody have an opposition?
I actually do.
Mean, oh, hey, come on. You have the best player in the class. I mean, we watched his pro day. It was gross. Who else would you take above him?
The Jags are still looking at a lot of other prospects right now. There's been no confirmation that they are going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. I actually think that they'll go with Evan Neal. They need some protection for Trevor Lawrence. I think Evan Neal blocking his blind side, you just can't go wrong. If they want Trevor Lawrence to develop and they want him to succeed, they need to get him some protection. And I just think Aiden Hutchinson is going to go home to Detroit because the NFL is scripted.
I mean, Jacksonville needs a lot of things
but obviously, yes. Go ahead.
I'm on the Aiden Hutchinson train, but I have seen a lot of mock drafts recently that have Ikem Ekwonu or Evan Neal going to the Jags, and I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to pull the trigger on either one of them.
Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be blown away by it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like you need so much. You might as well go with a guaranteed guy, almost like a Chase Young that we saw for Washington, where he's going to go out there and he's going to compete at an NFL level regardless. Playing an O-line for an NFL team is a lot different than playing an O-line for a college team. These guys are bigger. These guys are faster. Go with your safe bet.
This might be a hot take, but I truly think that a left tackle is way more important than a defensive lineman.
No, the blind side of your quarterback is the most important position on the field. Don't get me wrong.
And I just think they want to get that right.
I just think the capital is you should go with him over him. I wouldn't be upset if you went with him, but at the same time, it's like you have a player like a Chase Young player where you are guaranteed to go out on the field. It is a lot harder to play against NFL, D linemen coming at your blind side.
Evan Neal will still be a starter day one.
Oh yeah,
he may be a starter, but at the same time, is how much of a proven starter is he going to be?
I think he'll be fine. I truly do. I mean, you see linemen coming out of the draft. Quentin Nelson, Andrew Thomas was even great his first year. I mean, I think he'll be able to translate. He's huge. He's fast. He's got all the physical abilities to be a great offensive lineman in the NFL.
I just like the safe bet. Like I said with Trevor Lawrence, he was a bust.
Trevor Lawrence was the safest bet since Johnny Manziel.
And he still didn't perform well.
We see what happened with Johnny
You
Manziel.
compared him to Johnny Manziel, who may have been regarded as maybe the worst first-round pick as a quarterback.
We could have put Joe Burrow on the team that Trevor Lawrence is on, and you would have gotten slightly better of a
I
season.
actually tend to agree. I tend to
Shiesty,
agree
man.
with that.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with Shiesty.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Joe Burrow, but if you're getting sacked 100 times in a season
Well,
and you're throwing the ball up to Laviska Shenault. No offense, I love Laviska Shenault, but if that's your number one wide receiver, and then God knows who else you have because DJ Chark is injured, and your top running back James Robinson isn't even getting the ball
And tore his Achilles at the end of the year.
Yeah. And then Travis Etienne never got a chance to see that Clemson combo.
Hey, but now they have Evan Ingram, so it all goes uphill from here.
I forgot about that.
I knew that Brent was going to say that at some point during this, and I love that he did. Hey, they have a Pro Bowl tight end. I don't know what anybody's getting upset about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Chris, you're just a doubter.
I'm a hater.
I
Born-
live for the
born again,
Chris
play again,
Brent
hater.
arguments on this podcast. Instead of the Sports Outlet Show, we should call it the Chris and Brent Show. It's a good name.
Nah, I'm trying to keep episodes under 2 hours.
Oh, jeez. We've never reached the 2 hour mark, so let's keep rolling while I say that. Gentlemen, who's the first quarterback off the board?
There should only be one answer to this.
Kenny Pickett.
He's going to say Malik Willis, and I agree with Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett hurt himself for his pro day appearance. That's all I have to say.
Are you going to talk about Kenny Pickett's small
Hand
hands?
size,
Chris?
yep. Hand size means a lot to NFL scouts.
Hey,
Malik
you know what they
Willis-
say
Malik
about small
Willis is the
hands?
perfect package.
What do they say about small hands, Brent?
Small feet,
Small
man.
feet?
Look, Malik Willis is the perfect package. I mean, other than his character trait that we've seen, his personality, the way he helps people. I mean, it's always a good look for a team to have a player that they know is going to give back to their community as well as play good football. And Malik Willis does both.
Yeah, but Malik Willis played at Liberty.
Exactly. In Liberty, they play independent. So they're playing a whole bunch of different teams rather than coming out of Pitt where you're playing the same conference teams every year. At Liberty, he can play against a whole different array of our defenses.
And also, the question was who's the first quarterback off the board, not who's the best quarterback.
Exactly.
And I told you it's Malik Willis, and that should be the first answer.
I agree with Chris. I don't know how it isn't Malik Willis.
I'll tell you how it's not Malik Willis.
Joe, I think the Panthers would benefit from Malik Willis.
You know,
they would love Malik Willis. He provides dynamic ability that the other prospects just don't have. He is raw, and he will take time. But with CMC back there and the weapons you guys have, I think he would be a great benefit for the Panthers.
I also agree he'd be a great benefit.
But look, Kenny Pickett's case, he was regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the class, had his pro day. Something had to happen because he went from number one to now dropping almost to the second round. Yeah, so there's something more that we don't know about, and that's why Malik Willis.
You guys have too much faith in the Panthers organization. We're drafting Kenny Pickett, and he's going to be the first quarterback off the board unless we trade back, and we're going to get my boy Baker Mayfield. Those are the two options. We're not smart enough to draft Malik Willis.
It's a mistake.
He does not. I agree, it's a mistake, but he doesn't fit our system. Not the Matt Rule system. Excuse me. I'm Braden agrees with me.
Yeah, I'm on the same page, you guys. Malik Willis is the best quarterback out there. They're going to draft Kenny Pickett.
So talk about Kenny Pickett. What's Kenny Pickett got?
What does Kenny Pickett offer that Malik Willis doesn't offer?
Kenny Pickett took a Pittsburgh team that was absolute dog water to a ACC championship.
And how'd they do?
Not well. Took them.
It's the ACC. It's ACC football.
Took them to one of the top 5 bowls in the entire league.
And how'd they do?
And listen, Kenny Pickett didn't play.
Exactly. Kenny Pickett did not play.
And they lost. to
Why didn't he
Michigan
play?
State so that he could go to the draft.
Exactly.
Guys, the number 1 pick's going to be Spencer Rattler. Let's
You-
get it
Him
together.
and
here.
Antoine Wells just have that connection now. Spencer Rattler to
Spencer
juice.
Rattler was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick and fell off the face of the earth.
Sam Howell.
Don't talk
Right, that's
about
even
Sam
worse.
Howell. Sam
Crazy,
Howell is
crazy.
absolute butt.
I bet Sam Howell's still a top 5 quarterback in this draft. I bet
He's number 4. Look at the ticker.
Yeah, he's still going to get drafted pretty highly. And we'll see.
I personally believe that Matt Corral was the best quarterback in this draft till he got hurt.
Yeah,
I
I
love
like
Matt
Matt Corral as well.
Injury is a tough scene.
Yeah, it is a tough scene. But again, Kenny Pickett will be the first off the board, not the best off the board. I promise you that. If the Panthers do not draft Kenny Pickett, then Malik Willis will be the first off the board. That is true. I can't speak for how stupid my organization is, Chris.
I thought I knew you better.
You thought a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2017 and is starting Sam Darnold no matter what is going to be better? We're starting someone that sees ghosts. Ghosts.
You'll get it eventually. Let's just move on before I get upset.
Yeah, I agree. The next question I have for you guys, what sort of trades are we expecting from this draft?
Oh, easy. Something for Jimmy and Baker.
That's literally on my sheet.
I'll
go ahead and throw that up.
To know that Jimmy and Baker will be traded for some draft spot in this position. I hope Pittsburgh trades for Baker and then Seattle trades for Jimmy. But, that's just my personal take on it. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel like in the NFL, a lot of teams are either going to draft a quarterback and already are locked into that, or they have a quarterback that they will take into the season. And I don't see any room where Jimmy and Baker do not go to maybe a select 5 teams.
I think that Baker will end up in Seattle. I feel like DK could benefit from a quarterback with the confidence of Baker Mayfield. And I just don't see him as a backup entering the year. But on the other hand, I do see Jimmy G backing up the Niners. I think he'll still be on the team. I just don't think anyone wants him.
This may be a harsh reality, but I feel the 49ers are screwing over Jimmy Garoppolo.
They are.
I mean, Trey Lance is give or take a good quarterback in the FCS level. He made it to the level, and the 49ers organization feel like he can be a starting quarterback. But at the same time, Jimmy G has done a lot for your franchise. And to basically kick him to the curb and be like, oh, Trey Lance is our guy now, when Jimmy G is still a very good quarterback, maybe a better backup, but at the same time don't do a guy dirty like that just because you want to see young talent start.
Yeah, but when you trade all those assets away just to get up to number 3 to take your guy, Trey Lance, they're gonna start him. I mean,
and at the same time is do Jimmy a favor and let him go to where he wants to go.
Right. It's just hard with his contract situation. And I mean, you saw him in the playoffs this year. He wasn't great in his last playoff game. So
and exactly, but at the same time, find him a home where he can be happy. Because especially with the news today that they're losing Debo.
Yeah,
we find Jimmy a place where he can be happy too.
That was crazy today.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I don't understand.
The reports coming out you got to look at the reports coming out yesterday where it was like his brother said it and then was joking. Obviously, something was going on within that organization, and them not giving him a contract. Something's up.
Apparently, it's not even about the money either. Is what I've heard. I don't know.
It's the organization. They're having organizational,
which is crazy because Kyle Shanahan scripted him the ball so well, and I don't know if another team is going to be able to do that. He had a phenomenal year last year, and on a different team, especially, I don't think he's going to be able to repeat that success.
Exactly. So it's kind of a whole issue to watch, especially where he ends up going. I think we saw the Jets, KC, Detroit, all up there for teams suitable for him. So it's
the Jets want an elite wide receiver so bad.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. So it's kind of a situation where we need to watch, especially over the next week. I think it's going to pick up a lot, maybe later tonight or tomorrow, the rumors. So something to watch for.
Yeah, I fully expect him to be on a team by this weekend.
And
So-
again, just continuing to have the craziest offseason in NFL history.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. For sure.
Every day I wake up to something different. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this Baker Mayfield and Jimmy G thing's been going forever. But yeah, I agree with Brent. Baker's going to end up in Seattle. As much as I would love him to come to Carolina, who is one of the front runners, I don't think we'll pull the trigger on him come draft day. But nothing's going to happen with Baker until draft day. That's all I have for that. We'll go ahead and transition to the 2022 NFL Draft. Dark horse prospect, somebody that you guys believe. There's always that guy rounds 4 through 7. I think that one year his name was Tom Brady, was a 6th-round pick. I hear he's pretty good at football. Last I checked, at least.
I can't remember who's that guy again.
Yeah.
Who is that guy?
Some dude.
He's some dude. He's the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He came after Jameis Winston.
I also think he's like the most arrogant
yeah.
player on the NFL field right now. But
He made Bruce Arians leave.
yeah, it kind of
That
just
was
controls
entirely
everything he's
Brady's
on.
fault.
Yeah, but other than that, my dark horse prospect is actually a quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, who's expected to go 185th, so we're expecting round 5, round 6. Mine's quarterback out of Western Kentucky, Bailey Zapp, and I'm a huge fan of him. Has anybody checked his statistics last year?
No.
All right, let me read these to you. He had a 69% completion percentage, 5,967 passing yards, 62 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 11 interceptions.
What team did you say?
Western Kentucky,
Are they FCS or FBS?
FBS.
They're FBS.
Okay.
They're low level FBS. I think CUSA, if I can recall. So not the best FBS league, probably the worst, but
It doesn't matter what division you're in. If you throw 6,000 yards,
because you're playing elite, you're playing NFL prospects, you know, and especially in FBS level. I mean that is just absurd to hear from, especially
and again, 62 touchdowns, throwing with 70% completion.
It just shows you that these guys that play for not SEC schools are not going to get the coverage and not going to get the know-how of these smaller kind of FBS and then high-level FCS schools.
I just want to say I'm 1-0 on dark horse. Last year I said Khalil Herbert, and look how he turned out. This year I didn't pick a Hokie because we don't have many good ones.
No.
Hey, we got Trey Turner, baby.
All right, I'm gonna go with mine real quick. I have Khalil Shakir, wide receiver out of Boise State. From what I've heard, Shakir is thought of to be a very versatile wide receiver who can play both in the slot and outside. He had a very nice Senior Bowl and finished the year with 77 catches, 1,117 yards, and 7 touchdowns. You have like the really good wide receiver prospects from the class getting talked about, Garrett Wilson, all those guys. Khalil Shakir is kind of getting buried underneath a lot of those prospects. So he could be a great benefit for a team.
All right. I might be cheating a little bit here
So-
because this guy's projected late 3rd at the moment, but I'm going with Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver out of Kentucky. He's playing in the SEC, and he had over 1,400 yards from scrimmage in the 2021 season. So I think he's going to be an absolute steal projected.
He
Like I
plays
said,
he plays a Debo style, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of Kentucky. So yeah, late 3rd, like I said, but I think he's going to be an absolute steal even at that spot.
So the Niners will draft him after they dump Debo.
Yeah, just get a nice replacement.
There you go. Chris, that leaves you, bud.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to go with a guy, maybe, I don't know if you know him, he's Pierre Strong out of South Dakota. I don't know if you guys heard too much about him. I mean, he's an average built, kind of running back, but he excelled at the FCS level, especially with his COVID year. I think where I read he ran at his pro day either the fastest, one of the top 10 fastest 40 times, or his vertical jump was one of the top 10. I mean, just an outstanding running back. There's been a little bit more buzz around him, especially, like I said, after his pro day. He was an All-American at the FCS level, which we have seen has produced good talent. I mean, I just kind of want to see what he has. Yes, he, like I said, competed at the FCS level, but I mean, running a 4.37 40, your vertical's 36 inches, your broad jump is 10 foot 4 inches. I mean, you're 5'11", 207. So great build as a running back, and he's my kind of dark horse. He's projected in the 4th round, position 132. He's top 10 running back in this draft class, so I kind of want to see what he can do, especially getting out of South Dakota, getting a little bit better coaching, and see what they can do from there.
Very nice. I'm excited to see all your dark horse prospects come in if they're late round 3 like Braden or
yeah, come on, Braden.
I apologize.
It's okay. It's completely fine. We'll let it slide once. Speaking of somebody that you can't have in the bottom of round 3, my favorite of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, number 262. Does anybody have any random name person they want to do? I can go first if you need a minute.
Trey Turner.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
Were you? Okay, I went a little different. I went with the Texas kicker, Cameron Dicker.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good name.
Shut up. Hit a 57-yard long field goal. Is hitting about 87% field goal percentage, 98 extra point. Pretty good. Got a good foot, and I think he could be a good kicker in the league where we have by far the most inconsistent position.
That's good.
Chris.
My guy, well, I looked at who gets Mr. Relevant pick this year, and I kind of based it off of the needs and what they're kind of looking for in a player. And so that's why I came out with the offensive lineman out of Mercer, Jason Poe. He's 6'2", 295, and he's been dominant at that position. He's ranked the 38th best O-lineman in the class. His 40 time is a 4.95. So, I mean, for an O-lineman, that's a decent 40 time. I mean, he's excelled at Mercer. He's won a lot of awards there, and I kind of want to see what he can do, especially, being Mr. Irrelevant. Even if he doesn't get drafted at 262 as a priority free agent, he's been all with dominant at the college level, and so I'm really hoping to see what he can develop at the NFL level. He's a little short. I was looking to see an O-lineman at maybe 6'6", 6'7", so 6'2" is definitely a disadvantage for him. But at 295, he's still a solid unit, and I can only see what he can do at guard.
Joe,
Yeah.
do the Panthers still have Trey Turner, the offensive guard?
I don't think so. I thought we traded him.
I was just going to say that the sports world needs more Trey Turners, so he better get drafted. We already have the LA Dodgers, Trey Turner, one of my favorite players, and then Trey Turner on the Panthers. We need another one.
Yeah, he's a free agent because I know we lost him to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, which was a huge loss.
In each one of their names, Trey is spelled differently.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So
one's with 3 letters with an E, one's with an A, one's with an I.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting sports fact of the day.
Yeah.
Best one I've heard today.
Don't steal my work. Don't make me come up there.
By all means, come down here to Blacksburg. By all means, you're more than welcome. Final segment of the day for the 2022 NFL Draft and the podcast. Favorite teams, what do you want to see? We'll let the least important Philadelphia Eagles start.
All right. Okay. So we got 2 first-round picks, which is obviously what we're looking for, the most value. We need help in the secondary. I would love to see either Derek Stingley or Aaron Drew Booth come to Philly if they're not already up there. And Jordan Davis is also somebody I'm really excited about. I would love to have him on the team with that speed. If we have to draft another first-round wide receiver for like the 4th year in a row, I would love Jameson Williams or Chris Olave.
All right, Chris?
So we get 1 pick in the first round, the 11th pick. So kind of a mid-tier pick in per se. And there's really only one name that comes to mind when I think of who Washington should take and who they need to take. And it's the wide receiver at USC, Drake London. I mean, an all-around good fit, especially with Scary Terry on the other side. I think both of them paired well can make a unstoppable force for Carson Wentz. That's something that Washington kind of needs to build up a little bit. I've always came to a point where Washington, they're one of the teams where they get a good quarterback, they have a potential to make a big playoff run. You have Wentz, who is not necessarily the quarterback that I would have chose, but yet again, he's an upgrade. And adding just another phenomenal wide receiver to that class can only make the team stronger, and especially with the defense they have. You have 2 hot wide receivers out in the corners, slots. You could make a playoff run. So I think Drake London would be a perfect fit.
And Chris, Carson Wentz has actually had more MVP votes than Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
To throw that out there.
He also has a lot less sexual assault allegations than Deshaun Watson.
Hey.
That's a good point.
Just to keep that on your radar, if you guys forgot, man is still on trial.
Brent, you want to go ahead and talk about yours?
Yeah, so I'm a Giants fan, if you guys didn't already know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Giants in the Super Bowl.
It's rough. But yeah, we are going to win the Super Bowl this year, if you guys didn't know that. The dream scenario for me, the Giants have the 5th and the 7th pick this year. The dream scenario would be to get an offensive lineman either with the 5 or 7 pick. And the ones I particularly like, there's 3 of them. I like Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, and Charles Cross in that order. If Evan Neal and Ike aren't there, Charles Cross I'm perfectly fine with. He was the best pass protector in college football last year. What I want as well, and this one I extremely want, like if we draft him, I'm going to be so pumped. Kayvon Thibodeau, if he somehow falls to the 5th or 7th pick, whichever one, I'm just going to be so happy. We need to shore up our offensive line and we need to shore up our defensive line. And if we get those prospects, I think we'll be great. And then 2 great consolation prizes if Kayvon Thibodeau isn't there. I also like Sauce Gardner and I like Kyle Hamilton. They would be great in the secondary and could help a lot as well.
Yeah, those are all great. Brent, I wanted you to go before me because we have a 3-way sandwich here. We have the Giants, we have the Panthers, and we have the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the little squeeze in the middle that you could make or break us. We can make or break you. Just like the past few years, we seem to always be next to each other because we're always trash. But there's 2 obvious things, and we've already talked about it. The Panthers need a quarterback, and they need an offensive lineman.
Don't say it.
We have a pick at pick 6. A pick at pick 6.
Good enunciation.
And our next pick is in the 4th at 144.
Don't say it, Joe. So
Sam Darnold's our starting quarterback. If you didn't already know that, you need to get your head out of your – I'm not saying that. You need to get your head out of there. That cannot happen because our offensive coordinator is stupid.
Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, for starting him. Why we gave up Joe Brady, I'll never figure out why. But Matt Rule, this whole organization is David Tepper. It's all going downhill. We're not making the playoffs for a long time. But this team needs an offensive lineman, but we're going to draft a quarterback, and it's going to be Kenny Pickett.
You need a quarterback, though. You can't go into the year with Sam Darnold as the starter.
Hey,
you can go in.
Walker.
You can go in with one of those 2 guys as the starter, but you need to have another option behind them because
Correct.
That is not the answer.
I believe we
going
will
with
draft
the wrong
Kenny
choice
Pickett.
won't make anything better in life.
We will draft Kenny Pickett because I believe the Lions might draft Malik Willis.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I mean, I think the Panthers should take a long, hard look at Baker and see if they can get him and see if that's feasible for you guys because that would be an obvious upgrade over the ones you have. And then maybe because you're not going to give up a 1st-round pick for Baker, so you'll still have that 6th pick as well. So you could take your offensive lineman as well and shore up 2 positions at the same time.
And the 3 guys you named earlier, Brent, the 3 offensive linemen have been visiting with our organization the last few days. So they've all been in-house along with the top 4 quarterbacks that have all been in-house. So I very much believe the Panthers will keep their first-round pick. They have a 4th, 2 5ths, and a 6th. We don't have a lot of draft capital this year, but the number 6 overall pick matters. It's going to be a quarterback unless we trade for Baker Mayfield, and if we do, I will be the first one to buy a jersey, and that is a fact. The one highlight of our team is we have one of the best GMs in the league in Scotty Fitterer, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
Except the CMC.
Anything better than Dave Gettleman. So
anything better than Dave Gettleman, I agree. And the last thing I said about what do I want to set for my team, again, CMC. Keep him healthy and rotate. It's that simple. I have nothing else to say.
If he can stay healthy for a full year, that'd be hype.
That would be hype.
Very.
We would go 4-13 instead of 3-14.
What do you think the odds on that are that he does not miss a game?
He's going to do it this year.
He's going to do it this year. He's not going to miss a game at all.
I'm fairly confident he's going to do it this year.
He's going to play 17 games.
He's going to play 17 games with 2,000 yards all per.
Wait. What about setting your starters for the first round bye?
Oh, true.
16 games.
All right, he's playing 15 because we'll already have the 1 seed locked after week 15.
All right.
Great.
We'll running back 2015, 15, 17-0, 16-0, all those sort of things.
Cool.
It's going to be a great year for our franchises, boys.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
I said that last year, too.
Which one's going to perform the best out of us 4?
The Eagles.
I agree, sadly.
Chris
thanks, Washington.
Chris, you got your hashtag and team name from an XFL team.
Hey, I don't speak for the organization. I don't say anything about the ownership. I just care about the product they put on the field. I think it's just a good product.
Honestly, for me, it's quarterback play. If Carson plays better than Jalen, I think the football team or the Commanders will do better. Sorry. Other way around.
The Panthers have played the Washington Redskins /football team /Commanders the last 3 years in a row. And I believe the reason we don't have enough salary cap is because they haven't been giving revenue to opposing teams.
It's just another scandal.
Allegedly. It was alleged. It is alleged.
Chris, when is Dan Snyder going to be forced to sell the team?
I thought it was going to be I thought it was 2 years ago. So
exactly. He's gotten so I don't
understand how other owners are not like, hey man, you just gotta go. You just gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta leave.
Once you piss off the owners, though, that's it. Like if this turns out
so how much it depends on what the report found and how much money is actually being stolen. Because if it's a lot, you gotta go.
If this turns out to be true in the slightest, I think he will be forced to sell the team.
For legal purposes, I don't think I should say this.
I agree. Dan Schneider. I remember
that's a different. I think
maybe regarded now as the worst owner in professional sports.
They both have their issues.
I don't know. David Tepper's coming right behind you, buddy.
It's a battle. It's a
battle. It's a battle. That's for sure. We should just be like the Packers and have the fans own us.
Honest, anything's better than what. I would be okay if Jeff Bezos owned them because at least he could just give them money.
Elon Musk might own them. He's going after everything else.
Look, I'm okay with that. As long as we get rid of Dan Schneider and put a good product on the field, then mark my words, I'm chilling. I would like my owner to not be also a predator at the same time. So I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
Yeah, okay. Everything is alleged. But at the same time, I'd rather my owner not steal money and allegedly be a predator. Okay.
There's a lot of alleged things just piling on top of each other.
Is that so much to ask for?
We're getting way off topic. We need to end this podcast.
Got to end it before I blow a blood vessel in my neck.
This is productive conversation.
This is productive conversation.
Yeah, until we get to Dak Prescott, and then it's just not going to get productive.
see, this is off-script analysis, and this is this kind of stuff that happens.
We could talk about Trevor Lawrence being a bad quarterback, Russell Wilson.
Allegedly a bad quarterback.
We could talk about Adam Schefter and how he allegedly may have screwed himself over.
We talk about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow could not have done well.
Don't talk about Shiesty.
Joe Burrow could not have done well under Urban Meyer, another allegedly.
You are negatively talking about Shiesty, and I don't appreciate negative talk.
That's not negative. That's not negative.
Joey Burrow. Joey Burr is going to be a top 10 quarterback next year, better than Dak Prescott.
He already is.
He's already better than Dak Prescott. You are right.
In all seriousness, I did want to bring up the passing of Dwayne Haskins. I mean, it just sucks. Seeing that news a couple weeks ago was awful. It broke my heart. He had a ton of potential. His team loved him. Washington loved him. His family loved him. It was hard seeing that news for sure, especially only being 24.
Yeah, another two things I wanted to add on to that, and I'm glad you brought it up, Brent, especially coming from my mom's a big OSU fan, so obviously she not like took it as hard as I'm sure other people, but Dwayne Haskins is and was one of the greatest quarterbacks in OSU history, period.
Absolutely.
And second of all, I'm extremely bummed because I personally believed he was going to win the Steelers starting job.
There was definitely the possibility for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
especially having him play for Washington, I mean, he was the name coming out of college that you were ready for. And I mean, all things of what he put onto the field, he was, at the end of the day, he was a very community man. He did a lot of things for his community. And I think that's something that you're a football player is your main job, but being someone as a member of the community is another thing. And I mean, just the positivity that he brought into the locker room cannot be beat. And I mean, the report came out today about also his 911 call where he was walking to get gas for his car that broke down in the middle of the night. So, I mean, it's just all really awful news. So it's something that you hate to see. And I mean, when I read the news and I told other people about the news, it was all, this has got, it can't be real. It's one of those things where you don't want to believe. But I think Ohio State, of what they've done so far, is very touching. And I would like to see his number retired at Ohio State because I feel like as being possibly one of the best players Ohio State has ever had, I feel like it's all but deserving to have his number retired.
I think it will.
I think it will too. But yeah, Brent, thanks for bringing that up. Life is short, and just like in the Kobe Bryant segment, tell somebody close to you love them today because you never know.
Absolutely.
So we can go ahead and wrap up on that little note. And thanks for getting on again, boys. And I'm glad to see that we can continue to do this online and continue to be together even through everything that's going on in the world. And especially with our professional careers coming up and Brent's graduation coming up in May. So big things coming. Big things coming.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to say to everyone else out there?
After I graduate, I'm going to this full time. This is my career.
Oh, that's the only dream in life: getting out of college athletics and just doing this for the rest of my life, or just getting out of college athletics in general.
Braden?
Yeah, thank y'all for listening. Great to be here.
Yep, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you back for my personal favorite. We're going to be talking NHL playoffs next time you're seeing me. Time for some pucks, some sticks, some ice, and Pittsburgh Penguins first round exit, baby. Let's go. But in all seriousness, until next time here from the Sports Outlet Show, thanks for coming on to YouTube live here today. You can go ahead and watch anytime you want. And thank you again, StreamYard, for letting us use this platform. Again, Buzzsprout, May 1st, we're taking that down, so make sure you're on that. Chris, let me get that money from that still, since you still owe a little bit, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and see you guys later. Appreciate everything, and happy Wednesday, and go enjoy some professional basketball. Yeah. Peace out, guys. See you later.